Hey there, everybody. This is Eric from Outer Limitless.
And it's Carlos from Daily Carry Solutions.
We're here in Atlanta today to cover Blade 2019.
Now there is a lot of material to cover between June 7th and June 9th. These 3 days have a lot coming, so stay tuned.
You're gonna like it.
All right, so you guys are the backpack company at a knife convention.
Yeah,
so the most important thing, what's in your pockets? What are you carrying?
Let's see. Well, okay, I got a Spyderco. I forget the model. It's the native. Thank you. I tend to forget. This was actually a gift from Spyderco. We did a tour with them last year. It was really nice. And as far as my other EDC, this is fairly new as well. Surefire Stilletto.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it's a really fantastic little lightweight. The great thing is that it's about the same size as a folding knife, which is the idea. And this actually goes back to when I used to work with Surefire years ago, before Vanquest. And just knowing the guys there and keeping great relationship with them, and was able to get one of these, and I love it. It's just great, really, really great. They call it a stiletto because of the output, but it's really awesome. And let me see. Well, I'm wearing actually a new Seiko that I got from a friend. Really nice. Yeah, and then I have my Apple Watch. It's kind of a geek thing, but I kind of need to have both.
Nice. You might have your hand busy on this side. You need no time with that.
Yeah, I mean, like, well, for phone calls, if I get a phone call, I can talk on that one. Yeah.
So you move the Velcro up. So no matter what size, so obviously, if you want this thing to disappear, you can go that low. But if you need access to it, or bear spray, or a small compressible jacket, or pretty much anything else you can think of, you just bring it up right about there. And as far as retention goes, because this is that natural rubber, it's called Hypalon, it has a lot of grip down there, so it doesn't even have to be too tight, but just a little tightness on there, through the top and up, and it'll be enough to retain that.
So a little final question for you.
Sure.
Well, you guys are the bag company at a knife show, but what are you carrying?
Knife-wise?
What are you carrying knife-wise? Yeah.
So I have a Cheverkov. He's actually here, maybe 12 yards away. This is a Toucan.
Ooh.
And so this is, of course, a titanium frame lock with a steel insert, and you can see that cut out as a nice arc through there.
Very nice.
And you notice something for the clip and the hardware. Where are the screws holding it together? Well, they got one there, proprietary stuff. Of course, micarta inlays. You can kind of see there's some depth to these guys, but that's the screw for the clip. The clip is properly angled and radius. It doesn't catch on anything, and it flows with it. And of course the handle is half open, which is nice because you can still get compressed air and blow it out, but you have some counterbalance. I'm not really worried about the lack of a lanyard hole because you have, for the headshot, you have enough, and that micarta to perfectly. I'm not a huge fan of low carry, like the low profile stuff. One more thing. So on ball bearings and Russian Damascus, which is proprietary to them. No, it's not. Actually, you can get it, but out of Russia mostly. It's called ZDI 1016. But you see that almost full flat, and good God, it cuts like crazy, man. I mean, it really tapers properly. So you got that kind of multi-angle.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you about.
You'll lose a finger if you're...
Is this able to be switched? You could make it a right hand or a left hand action?
More or less.
Looks like
I'm left-handed naturally.
Yep.
But I overcame that difficulty. And I just carry right-handed, like, a human.
They say lefties are more intelligent though, so I'm sure you retain that.
Dude, you're talking to me, I'm not talking to you. What do you think?
Nice. This is sweet. That's pretty.
Yeah, and like even again, this jumping on there, it's functional for a folder. It doesn't have to be hardcore, and you're not really going hard, but just in there and a little, sharpening choil.
Right.
But it fits the hand very well. You have a swell there, something you don't normally see. It's always a drop, and that swell. What do you know? Palm swell. My palm looks like that.
Right.
So you can tell they're considering ergonomics and not just cool design. You'll see a lot of the newer guys, and it's like badass design, very architecturally pleasing, but then the function kind of goes to the wayside.
Right.
And then one of my favorite companies, Spyderco. So with the H1, because this is a work hardening steel, when they take a sharpening wheel, that's how serrations are made, serration wheel to it, it actually work hardens it, so you'll get an edge. Don't quote me on this, but in the 62, 63, maybe up to 64 Rockwell, whereas the spine and everything else is still soft because the way it was cut, there wasn't as much friction.
That's a good point.
Right, and then of course I love the hawkbill because it's a natural advantage. The natural advantage of the hawkbill, the sailors have known this forever, is that as there's an apex in this blade, and basically beyond a certain point, let's call it right here, if there's an imaginary line, because you know your arm moves on an arc. So when you go in to swipe something, if it hits below that imaginary line, it pulls what the material, let's say it's a piece of rope, towards you, towards the edge, and if you go beyond that imaginary line, it like pushes it out, forcing it over the edge. Now the reason I love serrations is because this is about 25, if you were to take this line, right, and stretch it out, the blade would be 25% longer, or rather the edge. Therefore, the edge usually lasts 25% longer for serrations because you don't have to have something that's flat that's taking 50% workload, 100% workload on both edges at the same time. You have those little teeth in there, and the apexes do the first cut. They basically start it, and then the valleys in between continue the cut. And if anyone's wondering, if my phone was a sharpening stone, how do you sharpen a hawkbill serrated blade? You turn the stone sideways, and you sharpen it like a chisel. This is flat ground to almost zero on the back. This is machined by a wheel ground at like 15 degrees exactly. You will never match that with a diamond sharpener or something freehand. So, almost flat. I give it about 2 degrees, like a microscopic, and pull. And that's how I sharpen serrations. And I have Spydercos and Jungleese and old SOGs from the 90s and earlier, serrated, and I've resharpened 10, 15 times. Often I'll buff it and not even take it to a stone, nice and fine, but you can do that. Taking a little tapered rod to go in there, that's to fix stuff. You do that, and again, machine ground at 15 degrees, you'll never match it. So that's a little pro tip for anyone who thinks it's impossible to sharpen foam or the corner of a stone because of the area. This is why this can't sharpen. Now you can see light coming through. But yeah, you can't do it because it's not a curved stone, but you have the corner and you have the edge of the stone, and that is the right surface area to engage. There you go. Plus, one hand opening, gloves, no gloves, rust-proof knife. There's nothing that'll rust on this, weighs nothing. And yeah, appendix carry it. Of course, you gotta go light, man. This is a Surefire stiletto.
Ah, so you got one of them too.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's programmable, which I like. This is really ridiculous. But this is the size of the average carry knife. And that's about right. With a nice taper design, aluminum head, polymer body, all US made, USB rechargeable, and one of the best clips on a flashlight since Zebralight. Nobody does clips properly. Everyone does a little, C-clip that pops on and pops off just as easily. And they rotate, so the big thing is, for me, when it's in my pocket, the orientation is correct all the time because the clip doesn't move around. So I take it out, my button, like my thumb is
naturally on the button already, ready to go and use it.
It's pretty good right away, just orientates it properly. Yeah, man, I love gear. I carry it all the time. Still, of course, got a watch, got a fire starter around my neck, got a survival belt on, a little bottle opener, as well as you can store stuff all the way through. It's Wazoo survival gear. Oh, wow. I have a fire starter pen. So
oh, man, you're loaded up.
It's a fire piston pen, man. That's Aeon Innovations. He's pretty new. So yeah, just like a diesel engine, you're gonna put some char cloth, which stores in the cap of the pen, in there. Use the clip as a little spoon to remove the rubber seal in the cap. There's char cloth. Load it up. Probably put this back on unless you want a pen in your hand. And boom, pop it out. And again, you're gonna use.
Man, MacGyver would be proud of this.
I know, huh?
Too bad he doesn't exist.
I know, right?
So there's a compression chamber, and you have the flat side or the glass breaker side. So you remove the clip, you screw that down all the way. After you compress and pull it out, you then use the spoon of the clip to take that ember out, or kiss it to another, piece of char cloth, and there you go.
Nice.
Yeah, it's Aeon Innovations. I forgot the name of the pen. I think it's called the Try-On or Try-One, something like that pen.
Yeah,
the guy's out of Florida. It's pretty cool, and I think it's kind of nice.
So anyway, yeah, TNF family knives, small, a couple of brothers.
Yeah.
Bulgarian manufacturing.
Okay.
Which
My AK's from Bulgaria.
I very
love it.
much enjoyed their construction. They're very good. They're very meticulous. They're almost eloquent in the way they work and the way they communicate, which I enjoy. So this is D2 tool steel.
Yeah.
So we used an acid stonewash finish, so it would be a little more muted for the tactical application.
Yeah,
and also just for the general durability.
I'm digging it.
So, fully functional design. I wanted something that was purely functional, no extras.
Yeah, I like that drop open choil where it drops. Because half the time I got a glove on, responsible, idiot, and you're really getting into it, and they're usually way too shallow, and I have skinny fingers, so somebody has normal size hands and gloves on, half of that glove is on the edge, right on the heel there.
Correct.
So,
with the American Pavilion,
yeah, I like that.
I'm not sure.
Oh, that's a cool touch. I didn't even notice that. So this is squared off for like fire steel strike?
Exactly, yep. Squared off spine. And so, that's true.
I'm a knife guy, man.
So the key for me is that this is in the mid-tech realm. I really wanted something where people can pick all their specific features. So between the handle scale design, the blade, I'm playing with different blade steels now. So this one in D2, but also the ability to get it in N690.
That's a good one, man.
Kind of continuing to move through a progression.
Yeah.
And then the Kydex system, so this is made by Extreme Edge Custom Kydex.
Yeah.
Even though he typically, for his sheaths, would pretty much just make the sheath to the knife and kind of let the knife do the talking. We took a production standpoint with this, so everyone he makes is exactly the same. The eyelets are in the exact same location, so that in the future, when we get different bolt-on capabilities, it becomes uniform, and then whatever we add to it, everybody can use. So kind of similar if you think about what you guys try to do.
Dude, forward and backwards compatibility, and people just go, whatever, you'll order a new sheath. I'm like, no, man, what if it's still good?
It's still good.
I wish I had that kind of a budget.
No, and you can't. So I really wanted something that was customizable, tailorable, yet is a repeatable result from copy to copy to copy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Would you bring that into the wilderness?
Dude, yeah, it's about the perfect size. Again, you don't have to go too crazy, with the thickness and stuff. And all those guys talk about doing pry bar stuff, and like that's why we have the lever.
Yeah.
Not a knife. This is for splitting things. And that's about the right. Get in there. Dude, I'm really liking the handle because again, there's a nice sweet spot in there.
I was worried when we went to prototype it would be too small. And I laid it out against like 12 others, between Beckers and Essies and Tops. And this was the skinniest handle of all of them, but it doesn't feel the skinniest.
Right.
It actually fills out your hand nicely.
It's a good swell. I can really feel it in there. And that's what are the liners?
So these are micarta. So we have a black G10 and then a natural micarta.
Yeah.
This is a stabilized maple burlwood, and then that's a oatmeal burlap micarta.
Damn, I didn't even, wow, that is one sexy burl.
Yeah, with the 3D contouring. It's pretty wild.
Bead, let's be honest.
And actually, throw the Punisher bead out there. This is a shout out to Jonathan Yekic, who's a beautiful carver. He does nice work, and I commission him to make these little beads for me.
Yeah.
Little trail mojo. So you'll see, this is on a number of Marcor photos and videos.
Hey, dude, I'll have to look closer, man.
Yeah.
I dig it. The right amount of jumping. And not like, Grand Canyon deep and stuff.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt your thumb, you know, it's traction enough,
positive.
but yeah.
Awesome, man.
So, thanks.
Digging it. Thanks for showing me.
No problem. Like you checking it out.